Okay, so does everybody understand the concept of that? Most common, recent most common. Most common is the whole shoe. What's the most common thing in the whole shoe? Recent most common comes out of the blue, and all of a sudden that amount of difference between what's most common and its other parallel variable, which is opposites or repeats or something like that. All of a sudden, you'll see, where opposites are, quite a bit ahead. You'll see 5 or 6 repeats in a row. Well, you got to pay attention to that. You don't just keep saying, well, opposites are higher still. Opposites are higher still. You want to look at it's the fact that the repeating is, taking place. So as far as the V87, again, let's see if I got one. I think we showed one of those too. Yeah, this is the best. This is just one I grabbed. Here's what Here's what I know. I know you can't see it that great, but we're going to pass around the room here, and you're going to see like here's the disparity on banker versus player, 31-21. Okay. Meanwhile, the disparity on at the same time, the opposite three back and the same as three back, it's 21-21. You know what I mean? So there's no big, nothing to do about that, so to speak. Here's another one where the repeats are 32 and the opposites are 25, which is enough to be actionable. And then the V87, which is off to the side here, we'll pass this around, okay, is just on the banker side. Is the 1 staying 1 or is it going to 2? Is it 2 staying 2 or is it going to 3? I'm talking about events. Is it 3 staying 3 or is it going to 4 or more? And you do that for banker and player. And again, you track that, if you will, and you'll see that as time goes on, you may note, a good one is like this one right here, because we had 4 players followed by 1, 2, 3, 4 1 in a rows on the player side, then a 3, and then 2, and then a 1, 1, 1, 1 again. There was a lot of ones in this shoe on both banker and player. So all it is to use the 4D in concert with V87. You're marking the card anyway. It's not that hard to mark. However you want to mark it, whatever.
I cannot fulfill this request. The provided text appears to be a transcription of spoken words, possibly related to a game or a show, but it is highly fragmented and lacks.
Got a little AI going on there.
Oh,
somebody must have said, "Hey, Google."
Yeah.
So their AI girlfriend.
So to your point, Jay-Shine, V87 is only designed to give you a few units in a shoe. Okay. So yeah, sometimes you can't tell from the start what it's doing, but many times in a shoe, and I know you've seen this, you'll see like where all of a sudden the banker's going 1 switch, 1 switch, 1 switch, 1 switch, and that's where you make the units.
So is it better not to go on a fresh shoe for V87 so you have a longer history?
Well, I mean, I like to play like hands 20 through about 40. That's my, now go to 50 sometimes. I don't like to play the end of the shoe.
Or the beginning.
Or the very beginning. Unless it's
the beginning can change at a drop of a hat.
Unless it does something like you say, where like you've got like 7 banks and 3 players in the beginning. Where it starts bank, 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 player, bank, you know what I mean? Something like that. So it's experience. It's just, you have to go with what your tolerance is. I mean, every hand is an educated guess based on the experience or based on the what's happened so far in this particular shoe.
But if you go to a certain casino, you can figure out how they have their machines shuffled to what it will do. Like I can play at Palace Station because I know what they do. If I go to another casino, I have to watch for a while and figure out what they do.
I think it varies even at like the Durango. I think it varies between the stadium and the tables.
It does, because you can go to the stadium game and play a certain way and win. But if you go to the table, you lose that way. You have to figure out another way. And you need to have more than one way to play, because there are some days if you play V87 all day, you're not going to win. You need to have another option to go to, so that if you're not winning on V87, you can change. You need to have 2 or 3 different ways so that you can look at it and tell, watch for a couple of games and say, okay, B87 won't win, but this will.
So does everybody know what a Craftsman toolbox is? So I've used this at probably the last 8, 10 seminars we've done, okay? The idea, and she just touched on it, is you've got to have more tools than just 4D or V87 or NOR or, you need the derived roads, you need the 10 best bets. You need what we're going to talk about GBO9, the 3 strategy, okay? You need to pay attention to attached multiples versus, the multiple like a 4, and then it goes back to 1s and 2s. Or is it a 4, then a 3, then a 5, something like that. So again, you've got to create your own toolbox so that you have more tools available. It's not easy to win Baccarat. It's not easy.
You have to have more than one way to bet, and you have to have more than one way of money management. Because according to, you can go, like I can go to Palace Station one day and know it's going to do this, and I can go on the weekend and it's going to be completely different.
Yes. And then the idea,
money management today, that's for sure.
yeah, we're going to do a lot. That's going to be the afternoon. A lot of money
on that.
management.
That's
Okay.
what we're
But just to add to that, the thing is, if you're not winning, don't try to, you can sit there for a while and say, okay, well, maybe it's going to change. That's possible. But don't try to, force upon the shoe the way you know how to play, thinking that the shoe will come around to that. And sometimes it will, but it usually won't. And pretty soon you're down, 3, 4, 7, 8 units, just because you're stubborn. All you got to do is go to another shoe, or wait for the next shoe.
And that's a good thing about the stadium game. You got 4 shoes to choose from. You're not stuck sitting at one table.
Yeah.
There's 4 of them right in front of you, and you look and say, okay, I can win on this one, but the one I'm on, I can't. And you cannot change.
What about the computer generated ones like at Planet Hollywood, where it's just
Yeah.
Those are like there's like a slot machine, and you will not win on them. They're calculated to take a certain amount of your money, no matter what you do.
You're just waiting for your opportunity, though, right?
Yeah. And now I will say that when they first they had a Red Rock, they had RNG, okay, for a while, and they had a big screen. They've got it at Palace Station, that little circular thing that goes, they had it at the Gold Coast for a while. Maybe they still do. I think that you can still win some at the RNG, but it's not going to be a whole game's worth. It's going to be, again, you're going to see a situation that seems to be appearing for whatever reason. It's the 2s. It's going 2 banks, 2 players, 2 banks, 2 banks. You know what I mean? 2 players.
GPO9 3s, just watch them.
Yeah.
Just remember, it is a slot machine.
Yeah, it is a slot
and
machine.
It is
Yeah.
set to take a certain amount of your money, no matter what you do. You can be playing along and think you're winning, and as soon as you make a big bet, don't take it.
But you don't think it's as good?
No, they're not.
No. But is it playable? Is a slot machine
Yeah,
playable?
I played them last night. And,
Yeah. That's what I mean. And you don't want to bet large amounts, because obviously the machine knows what you're doing.
Leonard says he quits after -4. He's done.
Yeah, -4. Okay. Yeah.
-4 is okay.
Yeah. Leonard Winterheimer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all know about the slot machines. They can change them in the back. So I don't know if you ever notice on the weekend, if you go, they're tighter. And if you go on a holiday, they're tighter. If you go during the week, they're not as tight. They can change the amount of money that they're going to take by the percentage according to how busy they are.
No. So with respect to 4D, V87, tracking the disparities, any other questions or?
What was your bet? The first 3 hands or something like that? Remember, you had like 2 bankers and a player.
Oh, you're special.
Your special.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay.
That's what
That's simply like, let's say you have 2 banks, 1 player. Now and then I'll bet it'll go back to bank. And why is that? Because 2s and 1s are 75% of all events. Okay.
That's how the game start over.
That's a brand new
2
at the start.
bankers, 1 player. You bet
Banker.
bank.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's say it's one player, two banks, I'll bet player. 1, 2, 1. Okay. Now, again, that's just my own personal, something I want to do to get the game started.
So
Okay.
without disparities, the way it's supposed to go is half of the shoe is supposed to be ones and half the shoe is supposed to be runs. Half of your runs will be twos and the other half of your runs should be threes or fours. That's in a perfect game. And that's without any disparities like, okay, banker strong. That would be in a perfect game. That's the way it should be figured. So he's right. Ones and twos should be 75% of most games. But I have played games. I played a game at Palace Station one day.
Yep.
There was 1-1 in the whole shoe. Everything else dropped. So that's where we're looking for disparities instead of looking for the perfect shoe.
And then what'll happen is if that first bet doesn't win, that fourth bet of the shoe, wait for the derived roads to have their fourth bet and see if they have a situation. It'll almost always win on either the main road or one of the derived roads.
Well, that's interesting.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's almost always.
That's interesting.
I've very rarely seen where all four of them you don't
You
win
do
that.
the same thing on the derived roads as you just told me about right here.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay, I'll watch that.
Yes. Again, the derived roads, there's nothing to be scared about them. There's nothing to be, you don't have to think of their mysterious and their that you have to calculate them yourself. You know what I mean? Or that somebody's cheating you, or that's just too much. Think. The idea is that it's just kind of keeping track of what's happened before, and then saying if you believe that what's happened before is going to continue, the predictor is probably going to look mostly red on one side or the other, banker player. Red and blue is not banker player. Okay. And if you think the shoe's doing this, you know what I mean? It's probably going to be a lot of blue. So I just go by the preponderance of the colors in the three derived roads as it gets further into the shoe. In other words, lots of times I'll see, the main shoe is doing its thing, but it's hard to figure out. But the derived road we'll use the slashes. They call the slash. Okay, that's the third derived road. It'll be like blue, 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 red, blue, 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 red, blue, 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 blue. You'll see patterns, and same as looking in the main road.
For fun, did you ever track your derived roads like this, like your 4D?
No, I
You don't have to, it's on
I
the
don't.
screen.
I don't want to. Yeah, it's on the screen. I wouldn't consider that fun. It's too much work.
The only way it's fun is if you got a dealer that's so slow you're bored, you're about to fall asleep
Well,
because the dealer's too slow.
You're bored and you want to try something different.
They're really more effective if you sit at a table. You know what I mean? And you have the time to kind of look at them and analyze them a little bit. But you can do it on I do it on Stadium. I just look for patterns.
Okay.
It depends on how fast you think because you only have 30 seconds to bet
Right.
on the stadium
Yeah,
game.
it's too bad.
Yeah.
Where if you play on a table, you got all those people waiting and it's a long time to play. You got more time to analyze it.
Yeah, I always found out that if you like to play, like if you play the three strategy, we play that a lot. And Mike, who's coming in later, goes to Commerce and plays the three strategy, and he doesn't like to wait around. And the thing is you got to wait for that setup. And in Commerce, you can, there's hundreds of tables. He just goes from table to table looking for that setup, and the last, 5 or 6 times he's
That's
killed
over
them.
the top of people.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, over top of people. And
Now,
one of the
certain
things,
places won't let you play over the top of people, so you have to watch for that.
Yeah. Gold Coast used to, but they don't really encourage it
They won't
anymore.
let you at Palace Station
Really?
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simply because what happens is when somebody plays over you, the next thing you know, you're fighting over whose money was whose.
Right.
I always win. So, but,
Yeah. And some places will make you pile your money next to the other person's money. Others put it on top, and then you got to divvy it up at the end.
But then there'd be a fight over if you don't watch out.
but my point is that if you play that way, if you're playing a fast game, you're better off just watching for, some sort of bias, a statistic, or some sort of real big disparity like the 87 or 4D, or you're playing the 2 strategy or 3 strategy, You know, if you can sit out on a table, you have time to analyze the game a lot more, and you can take a look at, well, do I want to play a system? Am I looking at multiple things? So it allows you to contemplate the game a lot more. Of course, it takes a little bit more brain work then, though, I think, too, you know, like.
But
Yeah.
what he could do is if they got a stadium game, instead of walking around at all those tables, he could play there's four.
Yeah, you
on the
could just
stadium
look for
game and-
setups.
And I do.
Yeah.
I do. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, I'm looking through all the games. You know, what's this one doing? I don't know. You know, what's this one
So,
doing?
but the
Yeah.
thing
He could
is-
have play into 3 strategy. He could.
Yeah.
He would have 4 games. to
And that's the
watch.
thing with the base camp too, is one of the things that we talked about, Kevin. You know, when you look at a game, one of the things that you should be able to do is look at it and say, okay, well, you know, it's a strong side and V87 beat it, and there's this disparity. It should be instantaneous. Like, you know, that's the difference between, I think we study a lot and we look at the statistics a lot when we're sitting down analyzing things. But, you know, what's always worked better for me in my life is the things I studied, yes, but then practice them,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
practice is what really makes you a master, man, is practicing it. So, you know, and I think Stadium does allow you the opportunity to practice things a lot more. But, you know, like, and practicing brings out things like, not to philosophize, but I noticed the other day, and I was talking to Kevin about it when we get into the 3 strategy today a little bit, you know, well, Mike even says it seems to win more than it should. But like, how do you qualify that bet? And I said to Kevin, I said, well, you know, if it's preceded by a single instead of some sort of multiple and then a confirmed 3, it seems to work better if it's preceded by a single. Well, that's just a darn dragonfly.
Yeah.
Bet.
Yeah.
Now you're going to bet it twice, though. That's the only difference, or 3 times. I just bet it twice, but like, so I just started the other day, and me and you were playing at Durango.
That's right. Yep.
You won a couple $100. and
Really fast too.
Huh? And it was fast.
I
You
mean,
were-
I just
we
said,
were
look,
in and
bing,
out.
bing,
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 bing.
we're out the
I said,
door.
I actually won $500 because
Yeah.
I was betting $100 a hand.
And
No, I didn't win. I won like 5 out. I won like I won like 6 and lost 1 or something. You know.
Yeah, it was.
I netted
it was a
500.
Great session.
Yeah.
And I was just qualifying it with, okay, I'm going to wait for a 1 in a row, a confirmed, you know, a player goes to a confirmed 3, and if it was preceded by a confirmed 1, I was going to bet against the 3 in a row coming up twice. You know, twice, and whichever bet I win, and I noticed when I bet it, when it was preceded by a multiple, any multiple, whether it's 2 or 3 or longer, that's where it seems to get into a little bit more trouble where you're going to run into it. So
So what you're running
so
into is whether she was running or chopping.
Yes.
So if you
Yeah.
got a 1 before it, that she was chopping more, so
Right.
you're winning more. So
Seems
that's
to-
the best thing to do is watch for a chop shoe,
Yep.
and then you get the 3s.
now,
Now, if you're in a shoe that's running and running and running,
I mean,
don't play that, you'll lose.
and to your point, you know, I tend to see that. I think you're correct. Like, you go to Palace Station or Gold Coast or wherever, and you look at the game, and it looks kind of OTB4L-ish, and you'll have 3s, you know, running confirmed 3s side by side, which is terrible for the 3.
And you can see 5 in a row,
And
5
yeah,
3s in a row.
Or
And it's-
3s and 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 6.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That's not
Yeah.
good unless you're betting straight repeats, and so
You're
you
better off to
change your
play that and
strategy.
chops, yeah.
You know, but it is somewhat
It's
predictable.
one thing to put in your toolbox. So if you see it's chopping, that's a good thing to play.
Yeah.
If you see it's running, it's not a good thing to play.
And it does.
But I
seem-
really like when you see 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 3,
Yeah,
4.
well, then-
I love that.
I
You
love
have
it too.
repeats.
Yeah, it's repeats. It's just straight repeats.
Just play repeats.
Yeah.
You know.
And if it happens on one side, it's strong.
You lose the one. You lose it when it switches. You lose that bet
Yeah,
when it
that's the
switches.
only one you
But then
lose.
you just bet it to keep repeating.
Yeah.
So what I do when I'm playing is anytime it goes 3 runs in a row, say if it goes 2 and then it goes 3 and then it goes 2, after that 2, I start betting every single time
Yeah.
that it drops until it stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can win a lot of runs that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can.
Because a lot of times that's when you'll get your runner 12 or 13. and
That'll just happen.
Actually,
That's
at
right.
Palace Station one night got a run of 26 players in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on that one. I did. I took a picture of it, sent it to Mike.
Okay, so back to my question on.
Yeah.
OTBL, TBL. Well, the TBL and the OTBL, those are chops and runs, right?
Well,
that-
TBL is chops and runs.
Oh, TBL is chops and runs.
It-
Okay.
Like, well, it's like a great TBL is 1-1-1-1-1-1 6-1-1-1-1-1. That's a great TBL right there.
Okay. Then what are the 03 and a?
That's 3 back.
That's 3 back, and those are
Well, I don't know what you mean they are or
Are-
what.
twos, or is it twos? What? Just like the TBL is ones, is chops and runs, is 03 got a certain characteristic to it too, or?
It would. I say it could. It might be. That might be more OTBL actually. Usually, but
Yeah, I'm
it
saying
depends
that-
on how short the runs are.
Does each one of those OTBL, TBL, 03, T3, does each one of them have a characteristic of the type of shoe that's?
Well, OTBL is basically is either 2s following 01 or a 2 or more following a 2.
It's mainly 2s and 3s.
That's what. Yeah, 2s and 3s.
OTBL
So,
is
and if you
2,
do
3,
it like this here, it's going to give you 6 ways to play, because it's going to say, like on road number 1, it's going to say whether it's opposite the first one or same as the first one. The second one's going to say if it's opposite the second one or same as the second.
She's talking these
Yeah,
three.
the third one will
here.
tell you whether you're playing opposite the third one or same as the third one.
Mhm.
So you don't have just whether it's one way, you got both ways. So see, if it's minuses, it's same. If it's opposites, it's a even number. You have to know how to count, go up and down. When you're in minuses, it's the same. When you're in plus numbers, it's opposite, but whichever one you're looking at. And when those numbers, like I've played it where the number 3 is like 12. So it's opposite the third one. So it's doing 3s. So you're going opposite the third one every time.
So yeah, there are some characteristics to your point. You know what I mean. The most easily identified, okay, is going to be opposites and repeats. The second most easy is OTBL and TBL. Okay, the third will be the OO and TT, or the opposite 3 back or the same as 3 back.
Okay.
If you start with however you like to chart it, however you want to do it, you know what I mean. If you just do it enough, you'll just start seeing it,
Yeah.
in your sleep.
Yeah.
You'll actually get to where you don't have to write it down. You can figure it out by looking at it.
Yeah, you can look at it.
I wake up and go 3 back. Oh my god!
And all the girls run out of the room going, "Oh, he must have meant us." It's a kind of hard question to answer, because it's the circumstances of the shoe. You have to be able to see what's happening.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. We can talk about it,
right.
privately or whatever, and
A
I'll
lot
try
of
to.
times you can look at the last 3 to 4 hands and say, what would have beat those?
Well, the other thing you can do too is you can the OR count. That's 1 back. You could do the same thing for 2 back and 3 back.
That's what this is.
Yeah. You, like Kevin does, you do the slashes, and you segregate some.
Right.
You can just simply do an OR count for each one and we used to call that SAP. So, like the SAP count. And so it's all tied in. We did 1 back, 2 back, or 1s to 2s, 2s to 3s. It's all kind of interrelated. It's
Yeah, you'll learn how to combine it. Like I do this, but I also do when it's doing runs. Like I said, when I'll be doing this, and all of a sudden it's dropping every time. When it gets to that third one and it's dropped, then I stop playing this and I play all the drops until it stops, and then I go back to this.
From my perspective, the easiest thing to do is simply look at it and go, okay, well, just count the 1s, count the 2s, and count the 3s. What's most common, least common, those types of things. Like even in strong side, when I'm looking for a strong side, it's like, I'm looking for 1 in a rows on player. Is there 5 1 in a rows on player and bankers going longer? That's probably a banker strong side then. So those types of things, just it just comes from practice, looking at it, sometimes we get a little too convoluted in the minutia of it, I think, too. And you miss the obvious, too. I remember many times playing with Kevin, and we go, oh, my God, look at this. And, so, but the other thing, too, is when you're playing is concentrate. Kevin is all game when he plays, too. That's some good advice, too, for base camp, I think, too. That's the thing is like, if you want to learn stuff, it's like go watch Kevin play, but just be quiet and watch.
And that's the good thing about a stadium game. You're by yourself, you're not at a table where everybody's talking and joking and making noises and distracting you and stuff. You can concentrate. The best thing to do when you go to the casino, and I love this always, you don't make with friends at the casino. I mean, speak to them. Yeah, that's fine.
I do.
But don't get involved with them. Because then when you get involved with them, they want to sit there and talk to you and distract you from your game. And now I tell them, I'm playing, I have to concentrate, I can't talk to you.
There we go. Okay, so now I set up a transition point for Kevin here.
And I know I'm not drawing this real straight and stuff, a little bit limited in the way this is all held together.
I better zoom in on this here.
Okay, so this was the concept. Keith, we name each seminar. We've had Momentum Baccarat. We've had, gosh, Keith, can you remember some of the other names? We name each seminar.
Casino Crush, Momentum
Baccarat. We're trying to come across.
Seminar.
We're trying to stay with a theme. Okay, and again, this today is, and I'll help anybody in here, to learn too. But this today is more about how do I draw on the resources, okay, of the forum and the other players in order to become a better player yourself. Okay. So I came up with this concept and it just hit me. And, again, and I'm going to use base camp in the context of climbing, Mount Everest. Okay. So people will gather at the first level of the base camp and they'll sit around. They've got like tents set up and stuff like that. And they may be there for a week or something. And the whole time they're making sure they're outfitted to go up to the next level. They're making sure that, maybe they got a partner, that's going to go with them, and make sure they've got enough food, talk to other people about, wow, have you ever climbed? Yeah, I climbed it 2 years ago. And the really tricky part of the first climb is you'll find a place where it's, a big glacial sheet of ice underneath it. You know what I mean? So you really got to be careful. And it comes after the second mountain, or it's the second part of the mountain, whatever. Okay. So then they'll set up another, what I call base camp. Okay. Because imagine the little people are, climbing up, those are little people, by the way.
Whoops, I fell.
Climbing a mountain. Okay. So we'll call this level 1. You don't come to level 1 to learn how to climb a mountain. You've already had some experience. It's too dangerous. How there's accidents on these big climbs, people freeze to death, avalanches, it's a really dangerous sport, so to speak. Okay. So you come to make sure that you got what you need and supplies, make sure that you can talk to other people that have done it before, make sure that you're going to have, I'll call them like teammates that will help you out if you get, in trouble. Okay. Sometimes before you get to level 2, okay, the next base camp, so to speak, some people may say, you know what? I thought I could do this, but I can't do this. I don't have enough experience yet. You know what I mean? So they'll go down to the base camp and then they'll probably leave and just say, hey, I tried it. I went to Peru, or I went wherever, to, climb this magnificent, 15,000 foot mountain, whatever.